Hi everyone, it's Chris and welcome to my channel, The Vinyl Orchard. Thank you for popping by today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you're regular, welcome back. Thank you for your continued support. If you appreciate the content on the channel, hit subscribe, give the video a thumbs up and get stuck into the comments below. Today we're talking about space rock, a difficult genre actually to define. It's a kind of a mix of electronic, of psychedelia, prog, of stoner. And I think that the boundaries between these genres are quite blurred at times. So the music is quite loose, it's quite lengthy, it's often hypnotic and cosmic and otherworldly, lots of guitar, plenty of distortion, loads of reverb, often linked obviously to space themes. So what I've got for you today is essentially a playlist of some of the greatest space rock songs, at least in my opinion. And if I remember, I'll put a link to my Spotify playlist down below, which will enable you to sample some of the songs that I talk about today, most of which I own, some of which I've been streaming. But they'll all appear if they're on Spotify on that playlist. Now, I guess space rock kind of first began for me with the theme tune from Doctor Who back in the late 60s. But it is British writer, British writer and producer Joe Meek, who was credited with the first space rock album, an album entitled I Hear a New World, which I think is 1959 possibly. It's a concept album. And quite soon after, relatively soon after, that was followed up with this single, Telstar by the Tornadoes, which is kind of a weird song, instrumental, but possibly the first ever space rock tune, possibly. So I've got a bunch of songs for you today, as I said. Some are on album and some are streaming. I'll do the streaming one first. So first up is a band I know nothing about. If you do, put it in the comments below. I think they're Swedish, but I don't know if they're a modern band or they're like a 60s, 70s band. I don't know. But anyway, the band are called Baby Grandmothers, and the song is called Being is More Than Life. There's the cover. Being is More Than Life. Good little song, very spacey. If you've not heard them, check it out in the playlist down below. So that's the first up. Second is a British band. Again, I know nothing about them. If you do, please tell me about them. The band is called Earthless. The band are called Earthless. The album is called Rhythms from a Cosmic Sky, I think. Anyway, this is called Sonic Prayer, which is about 21 minutes of just wild psychedelic guitar. It's fantastic. I love it. If you like that sort of thing, then you will really enjoy that song. If you don't, I guess you won't be watching this video. But anyway, Earthless, Sonic Prayer from Rhythms from a Cosmic Sky. Next up is a band that I do possess a couple of albums by them, but they're not very spacey, those particular ones. This one is much more. The album is called Journey to the Center of the Eye. The band is called Nectar. And the song in question is called The Nine Lifeless Daughters of the Sun. Now, there is another song on this album. Is it called Astronaut Nightmare, I think, which is also very spacey. But that's going to be my choice for space rock tune from the band Nectar. I think that's from 1971. Next up is a band you probably wouldn't expect to see on this list, and this is possibly more psychedelic, but I am going to include it. The band, of course, here are the Rolling Stones, and this is their Satanic Majesties, and this is 2000 Light Years from Home, which I think is a really good space rock tune. Next up is a Japanese band, often referred to as the Japanese Pink Floyd. It's the Far East Family Band, and the song is called Birds Flying to the Cave Down to Earth. And it is quite Floydy. A little bit of vocals, which aren't great, but musically fantastic stuff. So that's the Far East Family Band. They'll appear in that playlist down below. Next up, I think this is it's the title track of the album, actually. Yeah, I think it is. It's called Up the Downstair. The band are Stephen Wilson's Porcupine Tree, but that's a great tune. Love that. They were very capable of doing some really good space rock tunes. Porcupine Tree, that's one of my favourite. Up the Downstair, title track from the same named album. And then we've got German band Eloy. I don't possess anything by them on video. I've only seen their albums a couple of times and I've not picked them up. I should. This album I think is pretty good. It's often seen as one of their best ones. The album is called, I think it's from 79, something like that. It's called Silent Cries and Mighty Echoes. And I'm going to put two songs on that playlist. The first one is an instrumental which kind of melts into this one. This is called Master of Sensation. And Astral Entrance is the instrumental that starts the album, and then Master of Sensations kind of follows on straight on from it. Master of Sensation is a really good song. I love the intro though of Astral Entrance. It sounds a little bit Pink Floyd, a little bit like Shine On You Crazy Diamond, that kind of thing, but really good tune. So that's Eloy from the album Silent Cries and Mighty Echoes, and Astral Entrance and Master of Sensation. And then last up of the ones that I've got streamed, I'm surprised really I haven't got this on vinyl. I've looked for it, I found it a few times. It's really expensive and it's often not in great condition, so I'm still looking for a copy of this. I think it's their best album, so I should own it. But anyway, this is from the album Space Ritual by Hawkwind. You've got to include Hawkwind, haven't you, on a space rock compilation, the ultimate space rock band. Anyway, my favourite song by them is Orgon Accumulator, which is from the album Space Ritual, the double live album. So there you go, there's my streaming ones. Now let's go to the vinyl. Talking about Hawkwind, I guess we've also got to mention Robert Calvert's kind of side project, which was Captain Lockheed and the Starfighters. A really weird album. The most conventional song is the song I'm going to choose on here. It's very Hawkwind-like. It's called Ejection. I have it on 45 actually as well, which is probably quite rare, because I can't imagine many people would have bought it. But anyway, Captain Lockheed and the Starfighters and Ejection. Mentioned Pink Floyd a moment ago, and I still can't decide which one of these two songs I want to include, so I'll probably put both on that playlist. And it's Pink Floyd, one from Medal and one from Ummagumma. Now Medal includes One of These Days, which I think is a great song, and also Echoes, which is one side of the vinyl, and it's just a truly epic song. Is it their first real epic? Possibly. It's just absolutely sensational song. I love it. But some of their early stuff is also very, very space rock, very psychedelic, obviously. Now this album, Ummagumma, has got two sides of live and two sides of studio, and the two live sides include some of their real space rock stuff. So the song I'm going to choose is Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun, and I think the live version Ummagumma is the definitive version of that particular tune. The others are also really good examples of kind of space rock and psychedelia. So there's Pink Floyd. This is a band you might not expect to see on a space rock, because they became a hard rock band in kind of 74 when they had a lineup change, especially a new guitarist coming in. But prior to becoming this hard rock band, they were a space rock band. And in fact, I think their live album is called 1 Hour of Space Rock or something. I can't remember now, but this is a best of UFO. So we all know Doctor Doctor, Rock Bottom, Lights Out, all those kind of songs. But before that time, they were a space rock band. And live stuff, you know, like Starstorm, Flying, which is like 20 minutes of these kind of jammy stuff, is real good space rock. A little bit more confined within time-wise at 6:45 is Silverbird from this best of. So I'll probably put that one on the playlist. Space rock is very influenced by German kind of music, I think, and you know, some of the sort of Krautrock stuff. So I've got to include a bit of Krautrock. Now I don't possess a huge amount of Krautrock. It's quite not difficult to find, but I don't see it in the wild very often, and so I don't pick it up. But I remember a few years back picking up this Brain sampler, and on this album it's got a number of really good tunes on it, but the one for today is Solar Music Part 1 by Grobschnitt, and there's a Solar Music live album which is really good. In fact, Solar Music Live, the song, is probably the tune I'll put on the playlist, but Grobschnitt, Solar Music, fantastic stuff. If you like your kind of space rock a bit weird and German, then you're probably going to like the next two albums. Phallus Die by Amondal 2. The opening track, the actual title track is 20 minutes, and that's quite weird and a bit spacey. But the opening song, Canaan, I don't know, K-A-N-A-N, is below 4 minutes. So I'm going to include that one on the list. This is a reissue of that album, which is why the cover looks different, possibly to what you're used to. And then I guess we've got to include Tangerine Dream. So I'm going to include a song from Alpha Centauri on this list. Now, the song I'm going to choose is Flying Collision of the Coma Solar, which is a pretentious title and but a decent kind of space rocky kind of thing. They did, I believe, a single at this time, which is very, very rare. Ultima Tool Part 1, I think it's called, which is actually quite rocky. It's got a bit more sort of guitar on it, and I probably would have included that had I'd owned it. But yeah, so Tangerine Dream from Alpha Centauri, Flying Collision of Comus Solar. I'll put one of those two songs on that playlist. Okay, here's another band that possibly you wouldn't expect to see on a space rock, and it's Spooky Tooth. So this is Spooky 2, their second album, of course. And Lost in My Dream, a Gary Wright song, is a really good, I think, example of space rock. So there's the next one. This is less rocky, a bit more kind of jazzy, but this is Brazilian. Is he a keyboard player? I can't remember his first name. His second name is the name he goes by, Diodato. And this is the album. The album is called Prelude. And the song is the music from Space Oddity. So it's Also Sprach Zarathustra, from Space Odyssey 2001 or whatever it was. But it's a really nice version of it. So I'm going to include that, as it's very, very space sounding. Okay, here's a guy who I've mentioned numerous times. Often in the early days seen as a Jimi Hendrix kind of copyist, really, and was really capable of some absolutely outrageous psychedelic guitar. The guy's name is Frank Marino. He was in a band called Mahogany Rush, and this is now called Strange Universe, which is from mid-70s, I think 74, something like that, 75. But the title track is proper psychedelic. It starts slow, gets quicker, slows down again, got this kind of refrain that happens all the way through the tune. Is fantastic stuff. Very psychedelic, but I think it just about fits into the space rock genre. Got to get a little bit of a Deep Purple link into this. So this is a band, an offshoot, if you like, from Deep Purple. The singer of this band was in Mark 1 Deep Purple. His name is Rod Evans. He went on to be in a band called Captain Beyond. This is their debut album. Number of really good proggy songs on here, actually, but Myopic Void, which is about 3.5 minutes, is a really good space rock tune, and a kind of a spacey cover as well. Captain Beyond, Myopic Void. Next up, again, a band you might not expect to see in a space rock, but I think he's produced a couple of songs which might fit into this. Voyager springs to mind. Can't remember which album that's on now, but from the title track from the album I, Robot by the Alan Parsons Project, I think does fit into this category. So that's a great tune. I, Robot, Alan Parsons. If you like your music weird and wonderful, then you've probably got to have a little bit of Brian Eno, Robert Fripp, haven't you? This is the album No Pussyfooting, which I struggle with, if I'm really honest. But, you know, the space rock genre, the opening side, the Heavenly Music Corporation, is pretty spacey. It's 20 odd minutes. I won't put all of that on the list. I'll probably just put one part, probably part 2, I think is my favourite part of it. But yeah, Fripp and Eno, the Heavenly Music Corporation. Next up, I guess this band could be seen as kind of whimsical or Canterbury or avant-garde or slightly jazzy, but I think this particular tune fits nicely into the space rock genre, and it's the band Gong. Now, they had two kind of eras, really, a kind of weird and wonderful era, and this was the last of that. And probably the most accessible of that era, and then they kind of changed to a bit of more of a jazz fusion band. But this is the album You. This features Steve Hillage on it, and the song I'm going to choose for this space rock playlist is A Sprinkling of Clouds, the song that closes off side 1. Sprinkling of Clouds. Here's another band that you might not necessarily associate with space rock, but I think this does fit in. The band of the Moody Blues, and this is To Our Children's Children's Children. And there are some quite psychedelic moments on this, and the spaciest and most psychedelic, I think, is the opening track, which is called Higher and Higher, which I think is a great tune. And of course we've got Manfred Mann. This is quite proggy, but, you know, it's probably one of their proggiest albums, actually, Solar Fire, and clearly has that space theme. But the song Saturn, Lord of the Ring, I think does really suit this vibe. So Manfred Mann's Earth Band from the album Solar Fire. When's that? Is that a mid-70s thing? 74, something like that? Anyway, Saturn, Lord of the Rings, that will appear on the playlist. And then we're getting to the last four, and these are some of my favourite space rock tunes. This is a band I don't know a massive amount about. I think they're from the county in which I live, Somerset, I think. And it's Osric Tentacles. This is their debut album, which is called Pungent Effulgent. Nifty little title. This is a decent album. Some really nice guitar on this album. It's very spacey, very psychedelic. And the song I'm going to choose is the opening song, which is called Dissolution, which is a really good song. I love that. So that's on the list. And I mentioned Steve Hillage a moment ago. You've got to include some Steve Hillage. There's a number of songs on this album which I think fit the vibe. This is, I think, his most spacey album. This is Green. And I think my favourite, Steve Hillage song closes this album. And it's the one I'm going to include on here. It's the Glorious Omrith. Fantastic stuff, pretty spacey. And the last two. Again, would you necessarily think about these two bands, people, straight away when you're thinking about space rock? I don't know, but this is very psychedelic and for me very spacey, and one of the earliest examples I think of this genre. Jimi Hendrix and Third Stone from the Sun, which is very psychedelic and very spacey. It has all of those kind of attributes, I think, to make it a space rock classic. So Third Stone from the Sun by Jimi Hendrix. And I'm going to finish with a band that I remember seeing back in 1977. They played this tune live. The band is Rush. This is when I saw them in 77. And the song is from A Farewell to Kings. And again, there's a number of songs on here that possibly could fit it, but Cygnus X1 definitely fits the vibe for space rock. So there you go. There's my essential space rock playlist. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Click on the Spotify playlist, and hopefully you enjoy some of the tunes that I've shared with you today. Thanks for watching, and I'm sure I'll be back sometime soon with another video. Cheers.